Welcome back to Big Discussions 76 Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box, and you can also leave a super thanks. Finally, please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. I am a writer and a blogger, and as discussed in part one of this interview, and as will be discussed in part two, I have a book project on the way. So, this is the second half of my interview with Coach Ron Wolfs from the Netherlands and Belgium. We were both coached by the late Dr. Kenneth Leon Jones, and Coach Jones is a key character in my book project. So, in the second half of the interview, me and Coach Wolfs talk some more about Coach Jones and Coach Wolfs' basketball journey, and we close with some other things. So, at the end, I'm going to cut right to the ending slide. So, I'll say this now. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Please leave any questions or comments or thoughts in the comments section below.
Let me just tell you a little about it. I'm in a school system that right now I coach at the high school level. I've coached at all levels from here up through, including college. And we have a basketball program where we have theoretically one basketball team. It's called the varsity basketball. That would be anybody grades 9 through 12 that can make the team. I've been at that school 5 years. 5 years. The first year I kept one senior and the rest were young people. And I had 4 freshmen, 9th graders on that team. That was unusual. But since the first year, the last 4 years, we've been to the sectionals every year, been in the Final Four every year, and then we won it all 1 year and went to the finals 2 years. So what happened is that the program, someone has made a commitment. I made a commitment, and we have some young people that have made a commitment.
And my first year on the team under Coach Jones, we advanced to the sectional final, like alumni arena. So I have fond memories of UB and
of UB. Yeah. Me too.
Right.
I loved it.
So you coached for you worked under Coach Cohen for a year.
Yeah.
Did you go immediately back to the Netherlands afterwards?
Yes, I was with my wife. My future wife was also there in Buffalo, and she's a classical singer. She's an opera singer, so she did the opera Carmen in Buffalo when I was there. So after that, she moved back to Belgium, where we now live. And after 1 year, well, we noticed that basketball is very intense. You know, if you look at it at college level, it's 7 days a week, 24 hours. To combine that with a private life and a lot more, it's very hard. And so, you know, my wife didn't want to come to the States, so I had to make a decision. Do I, go by myself to go to the States and stay there, or do I want to go back and get my own profession in basketball and start going to get to the highest level in the Netherlands or Belgium as a coach? That's what I did. So I went back to Belgium, where I lived, and I became a head coach in Rotterdam in the first division. 4 years I was a head coach, and working with Americans and working with Dutch and European players. It was a great experience. So yeah, I did that for 4 years, thanks to that experience I had from Ken and from Tim Cohen with UB. So I became a professional basketball coach after that.
Okay, a professional. Okay, yeah. So did your wife not like the food here? We had good food in Buffalo. It's kind of
I know the Buffalo chicken wings. The chicken wings, Yeah, so I'll
Donuts.
never forget that. But it's not it's living in the States is totally different than Europe. And she grew up, or she lived 2 years in Italy, so life is totally different over here. In the States, it's of course a lot of work. Work is important in the States, and over in Europe, it's more enjoying life a little bit more than in the States.
You know, Ron, throughout my science training and my science career, I've met quite a few people from Europe and in Asia and around the world, and I've heard that. I've heard that the focus and the lifestyle in Europe is just different.
Yeah,
In the United States, we work well, as you just said, work is kind of number one, and I think a lot of people here struggle with that.
yeah.
So you recognize that yourself.
Yes, well, the other thing I did, Anwar, and that's also part of my company. I have my own company now, Visit We Sports and Music. So my wife is doing the music parts, I'm doing the sports parts. And we did about 15 years. We were going with kids to the States to play in the summer in the AAU tournaments. So I went 15 years with my kids to AAU tournaments throughout the States, to Anaheim, Milwaukee, Chicago. We were about everywhere. And then you experience how hard life is in the States, because everybody's having a first job, a day job, an evening job, a weekend job. And, we don't have that. The weekend is there to enjoy. It's time to go out with your family. Yeah, it's also work, but that's totally different than in the States. And I noticed that when I was at UB, you had to be ready every hour, every moment of the day to prepare yourself for the task that's ahead of you, and that's a lot of work. And enjoying is something that is also part of life, and you have to learn that also. Um, I think in the States, it's sometimes difficult for people because they only work and they have to work to survive.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to ask you about your coaching experiences next, but on this same vein, how is how is money viewed in Europe? Because in the United States, acquiring more money,
Yeah, money is
acquiring more
yeah,
cars, bigger houses, that's important to most of the people here. Do you all not culturally are things not as valued there or
yeah. I think it's also different because we live, of course, in two different worlds. And if you look at the States, if you look over the insurances that you have in the States and that we have in Europe, going to school in the States is very expensive. In Europe, it's not as expensive as in the States. That's a totally different system. If you go to the hospital, it's very expensive in the States. If you go to over here to the hospital, it's very cheap. So things are taken care of in the country itself. That doesn't mean that the people have to work so hard for everything, because everything is so expensive. And I'm looking at hospital bills. I'm looking at insurances. That's a big difference with the States.
what has your coaching experience been like?
Well, I'm a basketball coach since I was a professional basketball so coach since I was 29 years old. I'm now 57, and I'm still a professional basketball coach. I did, like I say, I was 1 year in the University of Buffalo. I spent 4 years of coaching in Germany, in Aachen. And I spent 4 years coaching in Rotterdam, First Division club. And then I coached some teams in Belgium. And in 2004, I started with my wife, our own company, Visit We Sports and Music. And she did her passion, music, performing. And I was, as a basketball coach, I wanted to do my soul projects, that working with vulnerable kids in certain neighborhoods of the city. And I was working in Rotterdam and now in Antwerp. And that's something that I'm doing a lot also with with the kids, going to the States to play against the survival culture where basketball means more. So let them have that experience to make them stronger. That's also something we do. And we also had a project in Bolivia working with street children. So that's where we also bring our kids to have that experience. So we try to make active world citizens from our kids, just that they travel, see the world, thanks to basketball, and that's also something that is my mission right now.
Okay, so Ron, let's unpack survival culture because I've never heard that term until now. What what does that mean? Does that mean that kids here in the United States see the game as their only way to survive, or it's the approach to the game?
It's the approach to the game. I think it's if you want to play for a team and play competition, you have to go to high school. And if you want to go to high school, there are 100 kids going for 10 spots. Practice at 6 in the morning. If you're late, you're out. I just mentioned something. If you're going to basketball over here, you can go to any club in the neighborhood to play basketball, and you're always welcome, no matter what. If you go to the States, hey, if you want to play for a high school team or a college team, there are offers to bring, and those offers, our kids, they didn't bring that to the game of basketball. That's what I mean with the United States. It's a winning culture. Winning is important in the United States. Everybody does everything to win the game. And that's what I call a survival culture. And that's with everything in the States. That's about life in the States. It's about winners.
It's about winners. Okay. Now, did you say the kids bring offers?
Well, the kids in the States, they bring offers to play on a team. Every team you play from the States, or it's a high school team or whatever, they play very hard and they're ready to play basketball because they made their offers to play on that team. And over here, when I'm going to the States, our kids will pay for the trip, but they haven't offered to the game that much as the players over here.
Okay.
And that's what we see when they play. They play so tough and they play so hard. They're so ready for the game. And that's totally different than our European system, which is changing, of course, and which is good.
Now, do you have to have you have to brief your kids before you bring them over to say,
Yeah,
how it's going to be? These guys are they're going to be really, really aggressive.
Yeah. Well, we had also, that's why we go to the AU tournaments, because they're not the FIBA rules. The FIBA rules are very soft. Every little touch is a foul. But if you go to the AU tournaments, that it's allowed to play physical basketball. And when you go for a layup, you get a little bit, you get physical, contact, and that's allowed also in a way. And that's something our players have to get used to, and that's also, I talked to some Canadian kids also, and they're coming also to the States playing AU tournaments just to, to play that physical basketball. And then to survive, because that's the next thing. They have to survive. And we do it 2 or 3 years, and we did it with the kids also. Sometimes we go 3 years behind each other with the same kids. And the first year, it's like, they don't know what they see. The second year, they can adapt a little bit better. But the third year they're ready to play the game at an AU tournament. So that's their experience then.
Okay. Yeah, that used to be the stereotype for European players, that they were all finesse.
Yeah.
Highly technical.
Yeah.
But not as physical. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's very interesting.
So your coaching style, you talked a little bit about it earlier. Well, first of all, we'll start with the fun one. Are you a yeller?
No, I'm not a yeller. I believe in the kids I believe in player teams. I believe that the player who makes the decision, and I think a coach who talks only likes to hear himself talk a lot. So for me personally, I think if I always interact with my players, so and I first let them talk, because I know that if they say it by themselves, 70% will stay with them. If a coach will tell them, 10% will stay with them. So it's better that they say it themselves. So I can lead them to the direction, but I wanted to talk my team members, let them talk to each other, because it's much tougher when players say the truth about each other than a coach is saying the truth about a player. And I think that's why it's important that the communication in the team is very important, and that we are honest. I like the circle principle. We're all equal, standing together next to each other. Nobody's in front, nobody's behind you. Then we can talk, really. Be direct, be positive, but also you can say the truth about somebody that if you don't like things, and then you can talk about it. So I think I like that process a lot.
Okay.
And those are just very simple, and you can use 1, 2, 3 passers to practice your chasing drills, and then there's other drills to practice the forward movements. So there's drills in it. But that's the basic 22 zone that I do play once in a while. My primary purpose of changing defenses is to change up the tempo of the game. And if you play man for man for a long period of time, they're used to it. They're used to it. And you can really surprise the team. All right, let's go over here. We need one more offensive person. Sorry about that, guys.
I've noticed that, well, all coaches are different.
Yeah, of course.
Coach Jones was, well, the coach I had in middle school before Coach Jones, neither of them were yellers.
No.
Coach Jones was a bit of a yeller, but it was from the passion of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
True.
some coaches are just yellers just to yell.
Yeah. True.
And as a player, you have to know how to respond to that. And some
True.
players don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah. True.
So as a player, a lot of your success depends upon how well you fit with the coach you have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true. And what?
Your mental makeup, your personal values, your own toughness, and how you and that coach fit together. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And the person you are, because you have to be the person you are, is also very important, because you cannot be any person. You just have to be yourself also. And that's also, players are your mirrors. You have to learn from your players, because they are, right next to you, and you can learn so much from them. I still learn today that, my best coaches are my kids, because they will learn me a lot.
Okay. Wow. So Ron, in terms of philosophy, do you still what are your coaching philosophies? I know Coach Jones wasn't a zone guy.
No, me neither. No, me neither.
Zone. Okay.
I'm a pressing guy. I like to press. I like to do full court man-to-man. I like to do 1-2-1 zone presses with traps. I like to give pressure right away.
Okay. Well, how about on offense? Because the game, I think from what I'm observing, the kids looking up to now, they look up to Steph Curry, they look up to Durant, they look up to LeBron. On offense, how do you, in a general sense, you can get as specific as you want, but how do you run your offense? Do you let a lot of isolation go? Do you let a lot of
that's also these days a lot of isolation. There is an early pick and roll is there, just to get that 5-on-4 going. It's not really using the pick and roll to get the most out of it. Like in the early days when they play pick and roll, I remember Karl Malone with John Stockton. They had about 500 options in the pick and roll. Well, these days are gone. It's not like that anymore. They use the pick and roll just to get free and to play 5-on-4 and to see for some isolation, so they can spread the court and pass it to the corner or whatever. So we use that early pick and roll. We still use the single screen, staggering screens. I think it's important for our players to, when they're 18, that they can learn how to play pick and roll, defend pick and roll, play staggering screens, single screens, offensively and defensively react to it. That they learn that. So when they go to another club or another level, they are complete tactical way, that they are not, like, oh, I don't understand this, and they cannot play the game. So we like our players to be complete offensively and defensively. We try to.
Low post is a high low. And then in a point and two wing people. So we would start out with this offense. We have a lot of offensive sets. I think every coach, I was looking for utopia offense. Every coach is looking for the utopia offense. Okay? I don't think I ever found one, but I do have something I run that I use against man-to-man and zone, very functional. Tomorrow afternoon I'll get into it for you. Hopefully that we'll be able to do that for you. All right, now, all you gotta do is remember the rules, chase the rules.
Okay. Does that mean you teach? I've heard it called positionless basketball, where everybody's equally skilled, or do you have set positions? 1, 2, 3,
Well,
4, 5?
we don't go too early to point guards, forwards, big guys. We like to, all of our players have to try to be complete at a young age to play every position. So I think that's very important, and don't go too early to, forward or big guy or whatever. Let them experience everything and let them do everything, and then let them develop, and then we'll see what comes out of that, and give that a certain time. And that's of course with also the pressure in the States. We're winning, makes it that you're going to be put in a box. You can do that good, but that's something you're not going to do. Okay, so you do that. That's okay. Um, that kind of players you're going to get, and I think it's very interesting to see at a level that you can play all kind of positions at the courts and develop on all kind of things.
Mhm. Okay, so you're still coaching. I know you said you have your business. Are you coaching? When you said you were a professional coach, does that mean you're coaching at the professional ranks?
No,
Or
no, no. I'm a coach at professional ranks for about 5 to 6 years, and then I decided to do my own project with the kids at the schools, where I'm still working as a basketball coach, but not at the highest level. So now these days, my mission is more to, like I said, to make better human beings out of my basketball players, but at a young age to learn them a lot, to give them the values, to continue with life, to use in life, and thanks to basketball.
okay, what to make them better people? Because Coach Jones used to tell us that all the time, and as a matter of fact, at his memorial service, the clergyman did say he ministered to his players, and he did. I don't know how many of us were able to receive it at that time, but I did notice that not every coach pours into their kids that way. For some coaches, it was just win me games,
Yeah.
do what I say. But making them better people, what does that mean to you? You want them
That's working with values during the practices, during the games. With communication, with next play, attitudes, with a lot of things that are going on in their lives. You can learn them working with values during the practice, during the games. Also, what they can use as skill in their life. And I think that's also very important. We have a value that's called next play. That's so important. I think don't stay in your emotion. Whatever happens, just go to the next action, the next play. That's something you can use. That's important in the basketball game, but it's also very important in your normal life, because how many people are staying stuck to the, hey, this happened to me, and why does it happen to me, and this and that. So our kids are coaching next play at a very young age, 9, 10, 11 years, and that's how they coach each other. They say, well, don't complain, next play, come on, let's go. So they've learned that at a very young age to do that, and to continue. And I think that's how you give life skill. And we talk about that also after practice, or we say, well, okay, who was good at next play today? We did that, and then the kids will say, okay, this or this, he was great in next play. And we have also uniforms where you put next play on, so they can play with next play on it, and then but we can also use it on the other side, that we think a person is not doing a good job with it, and then we say, hey, you put the shirt with next play on, and the next time he will work on it because he's wearing it. So, and that's also makes a big impact on the players, because then they say, okay, I'm wearing next play, I have to do it good now, so I'm working on next play. So that's something how we work with values, and I think it's very important for the kids.
Okay, yeah, that's yeah. When they go on to the adult world and into their careers, that's critical, because yeah, it's very easy to stay in a rut, or to stay in adversity, and it's hard sometimes to move on, but that's a very valuable teaching for someone. This next play, let's move on. We made a mistake, we had a hardship, but
Yeah.
let's go.
So that's also something, you have to stay true to yourself. And if you stay true to yourself, you can deal with a lot of things in life. And if you learn your own values, I think it's very important that you look in the mirror and take care of your own values. What are your values? And if you take care of that, you can make the decisions in life. If you take care of that, and it's still hard to make big decisions, but it will help you.
Mhm. Okay. Well, Coach Ron, I won't keep you much longer. Your kids, do they? Well, with the internet now, they can watch anything
Yeah,
anywhere, pretty much.
true,
Do
true.
any of them dream about playing in the NBA or playing college
Yeah,
basketball in the United States, or are they looking to play pro ball there in Europe?
yeah. Well, we have already one player. We have 5 players who played in the college basketball who went over to the States with me. One of the players, Alassane Barry, who played for Goshen College and who finished school and who's now working in the club where I work with the kids also. So that was great. He was one of the players who went from a school where we started the basketball project in Antwerp, and he went to the States, played over there. That's of course what we want. We want our kids to dream, and we have to take care of their dreams, and make them true, make them come true. So hopefully, in the future, we will see maybe some kids from over here playing college or, the NBA would be great, of course.
Okay. What um what is it sounds like you've it gave you your life purpose, but what did basketball do for you?
Well, basketball, what it did for me is gave me an inner strength. I wasn't good at school. Basketball was more important in the school, but my parents supported me. They always believed in me, and basketball gave. Well, basketball is what I am today. The person I am today. I traveled a lot, met a lot of people, went to a lot of countries. That's why I became a Coach Ron. Otherwise I would be a person who was still working in the neighborhood or working for my dad and not getting out of that comfort zone and staying in the area where you were born and let your life over there. And now I'm a traveler and I meet a lot of people and I can touch a lot of lives. And if I can change just one life, it's that would be just great being Coach Ron.
Okay. Was your father, was he did he work in a factory or on the docks or anything, or
No, my father had his own business at home. He was a furniture maker. So, that was great because my mom and dad were always home. So, and we had a basketball court in the backyard, so we could always play basketball. And, he believed in us. He always said, we were going to help. He said, no, you're going to play with the ball now. It's good. And he always worked very hard for us. And that's why, he supported us and he gave us a lot of financial support also to do the things we wanted to do. So, he also supported me going to the States to meet Ken Jones at my age of 18, and he paid also for the trip for me. So that was yeah, it's pretty special. They've done a lot for me. I'm very grateful for that.
so your father was supportive of you
Yeah,
pursuing basketball?
yeah, and
Okay.
also as a basketball coach.
Okay. That well, what I will say about that is that that does make a difference when your parents
Yeah,
support your aspiration.
absolutely.
But there are instances, and there are some homes where that doesn't happen, and they say, "No, you should do this instead," and the child has to make a choice
Yeah,
to go with what mom and dad say,
true.
or to say, "You know what? I'm going to do this thing over here because that's just what I really want to do."
Yeah,
That's it.
that's the compass we all need, and yeah, to to do our passion, to
Okay.
find our passion, and to do our
Find our
passion.
passion.
Yeah,
Do you have any? We covered a lot of this, but
I talked a lot. I know I
well,
was.
oh, that's the point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't want to, um, you know, if I did most of the talking, it would be perfect for me and my
I love
audience.
talking about that time, and what because you're the first one I can talk about Ken Jones because nobody understands it. It's very hard for me being here with Ken. I have the ball. I have a lot of pictures together, but of course, it's great to talk with you about our teacher, our coach, who was very important for us, who meant a lot to us in our lives. So it was great. It's just great to talk about that also about Ken Jones with you.
Yeah, as I've been writing the story and revising it, and editing it, you're writing something for the first time. One of the you do feel that doubt. You do say, okay, well, is anyone going to really care about this? Is anyone going to buy this? But you're right. There was something about being around him. There was something about learning the game for the first time, and there was something about the way he taught us all of those drills, all of those fundamentals, the zone offenses, the man-to-man offenses, the man-to-man defenses. There was something very, very special
True.
about that.
Yeah.
Even 30 years later, there's something very special about that.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
time.
He's still with us today. That's good. That's the only thing that counts.
Yeah. Okay. When was the before we go? When was the last time you saw him?
That's a long time ago. When I was the first time in Boston with my team from Belgium, the Netherlands, he came out to see me together with Alicia. That was in Boston, and that was quite a long time because after that, he was a lot in San Antonio in during the winter time.
Yep.
So it was very hard to see him. So I feel very sad that I couldn't see him the last years. We were in touch with each other. He was talking to me. He was calling me, and he was fighting his disease, and Alicia also. But I remember when she called, Ken is not there anymore. It was very sad because I couldn't see him anymore. I couldn't be at the funeral. But, financially, it was not possible for me to come over at that time. It was a sad time. It was really a sad time. So, but I remember him in the good spirit that he was, that he's still with me, and the love of the game and the love for human beings. And I think that that's a great part about Ken Jones.
Well, I want to credit Alice. Number one, she was the one who said you need to talk to Coach Ron Wolfs
Yeah,
in the Netherlands. So salute to Alice for that. But I will say that uh, she stayed there. She took care of him
yeah,
at the end, even when it became perhaps the hardest. She was there
she was
at the
there.
end
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. What do you know about the end, Anwar? About Ken Jones before he died? Did you see him? When was the last time you saw him?
Yeah, I capture this in the book. I was there. I was not. I was there the day that he passed away. I had to drive back to here to Washington D.C., but I went over and I said goodbye.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah. So I never been in that situation before,
yeah,
and I remember when I drove over, I didn't know what I was going to see,
yeah.
but I never been in that situation before. But I was able to say goodbye. My one regret is that I didn't finish this whole thing before he passed.
Yeah,
But when you're creating a piece of art, it just
of course.
with a day job and
Yeah,
with
yeah.
all the
You
other
have to take
demands,
your time. You have to take
it
your
takes
time.
time. It just takes time. So he's
Yeah,
looking down, and I think he'll be pleased with it. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Ron, we're just over an hour. Do you have any other thoughts or stories? Anything else you want to say right now?
Not right now. Just I think we talked about the main things. What he's done for me, what he's done only for me. So he's done for so many people, things. But I just wanted to talk about that with you about that. What he meant to me, what he's done for me. That he's still with me, every day. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Many of my teammates, they say the same thing, and it wasn't a smooth ride all the time for all of us. I mean, I think it's funny when I interview the guys, most everyone has some sort of adversity, but they all remember the mic and drill.
Yeah,
They all teach the mic and drill. They all remember the two ball dribbling drill. I was just teaching it to the young man I talked to you about earlier last week.
yeah,
Everybody remembers his quotes and his sayings. So everybody, he left a lasting impression on pretty much everybody.
yeah. That's
Okay.
good. But I'm looking forward to the whole story, to your book, and to everything about Ken Jones.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up. Everyone, thank you for watching. Ron, hopefully this isn't the last time me and you will talk. Hopefully
Hopefully, we
we'll
can.
we'll, we'll, we'll communicate again.
That would be great.
Yeah, I like that. So everyone, I'm going to wrap this interview up. Thank you to those of you who watched. Please leave any comments or questions or thoughts below. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something, that information is below in the description box. You can also leave a super thanks. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. Well, I told you I'm working on a book, but I blog as well, and I have more promotional essays for the book on the way. And with that, I think that's it. So, as always, remember everyone that your attitude determines your altitude, and always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye bye.
Let me just tell you a little about it. I'm in a school system that right now I coach at the high school level. I've coached at all levels from here up through, including college. And we have a basketball program where we have theoretically one basketball team. It's called the varsity basketball. That would be anybody grades 9 through 12 that can make the team. I've been at that school 5 years. 5 years. The first year I kept one senior and the rest were young people. And I had 4 freshmen, 9th graders on that team. That was unusual. But since the first year, the last 4 years, we've been to the sectionals every year, been in the Final Four every year, and then we won it all 1 year and went to the finals 2 years. So what happened is that the program, someone has made a commitment. I made a commitment, and we have some young people that have made a commitment.
One of the things Coach Jones shared with me when we reconnected was that if he could go back and do it all over again, and he used to say this all the time, he would be just as demanding of his players, but more understanding. It was a fun time. It was a magical time learning the game under him. But as I described in part one, well, as I described in the ending for part one, just virtue of being young people, just making those journeys and those commitments for the first time, it wasn't always easy, and we didn't always, as players, collectively know how to receive the teachings that we got from him. It was a magical time, but at times it was uh, there were a lot of learning moments in those magical times, and that's in part what my book project, The Engineers, A Western New York Basketball Story, is all about. So I'm leaving the link to my book project to the page in the description box below. Please go take a look and let me know what you think there on my writer's blog or even right here under this video. And thank you for watching, and look out for more promotional materials.